I was on my way to Nevada and just following Google Maps. It guided me onto this strange dirt path in remote northern Arizona. And then a couple hundred feet in, this Native American man literally just jumped out of the shrubs. It startled me so much, I just came to a full halt. And then he just abruptly told me that this is his grandmother's land. I was like so sorry, and I showed him how my map was guiding me through. And then he started chuckling and asked me if I wanted to join him for a smoke. He told me his place is literally just a couple miles out and asked me to give him a ride. I was like, okay, but of course I really felt nervous on the inside. Then he guided me deeper and deeper along these roads, and then my phone lost service and maps no longer identified where I was. And then all of a sudden we reached a point where no car could pass, and as I got out, 3 of his dogs greeted us. We walked down a slope lined with all these weird crushed cars, and I shook in fear because I literally was finding myself in this very unfamiliar environment. There beside some shrubs stood this really interesting cemented teepee-like structure. He opened the door, and as I entered, I realized in that moment I was crossing a dimension no one else from mine would ever see. My name's Brian. I'm just a medical student, so I've always been told scientific endeavors begin with observations, right? I didn't have to look far to observe some disconnect in our medical system. I met a guy down in Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, born with type 1 diabetes. He struggles to get his insulin, thousands of dollars. Cayente, Arizona. There, Navajo natives told me they lack access to emergency care, not because of distance or lack of ambulances, but because of a disconnect in simply understanding their culture, roads, and direction to finding their homes. And then could you imagine? Doctors, residents, and medical students have the highest rates of suicide compared to any profession. 1 per day. We lose 1 every day, and we have a physician shortage. Meanwhile, 115 people in our country are dying daily from opiates, just as we're starting to see polio, measles, and whooping cough reappear. Why is there a misconception on vaccinations, and also a distrust towards doctors among some of us? The United States right now is ranked 37th in world healthcare.
So it's time to wake up and accept the reality.
You need to treat the whole person.
You have right to health. I think everybody must to have right to health.
Love is the mission.
See a lot of cases really frequently where people are kind of scrounging together to get basic health care.
I got to pay out of my pocket a lot of money for insulin, which I didn't ask to have this disease. I paid $500 for 2 bottles.
She had to cover it all herself just to survive, and that is not at all acceptable.
An ambulance in a rural area, they don't really know where it's at, and I was like, don't you guys have GPS? I have GPS in my car.
When I fell through the roof, and you can probably see my head injury. It took maybe at least an hour for the paramedics to arrive, and I was like walking around with my scalp hanging to the side of my head.
It's affected me quite a bit because I've seen a lot of it. My brother had 2.5 months from the time he was diagnosed.
I share this collection of voices and talents from our streets, east to west coast. As a medical student, you learn to listen first in order to gain the facts needed to make change. We are all patients and healers, and we all come from the same bar of soap, being our own bubble. Listen and learn, because if bubbles can't collide, the system can't grow. If bubbles repel, nothing changes. So far, I've spoken to over 70 people across this country. It's an empowering collection. Pretty much you and I, all of us, open-minded, uniting our voices. It's simply about time for us to collide where we are divided. It's our healthcare, America.
Why don't we collide? The spaces that divide us. I want you to
love universal, 360-degree circle.
In any universe, you are my dark star. I won't
see 360 degrees always till I stomp on these streets. And I'll go hungry to let my dogs eat. Walk the long streets with a chop like bamboo. Strapped in the long tree. Sit back into my tray and I watch my sport piece. You know that talk shit, but action's more expensive. And add on to the senses and getting out past these fences. Plus about that dimension. Plus a bust pipe stack of music cross face. This shit don't get rub right. She's finna be uptight and fuck dates. Yo, these love with thumbs lights. But some don't know what it's like to make it through a rough night. Running from gunfights in a world of an attitude.
He says he believes in shots of all kinds.
You like to get vaccinated? No.
He gets rabies, distemper, bordetella. You want more vaccines?